Welcome, Leo, to your 15th to 21st September reading. We're going to look at the hopes, obstacles, and focus, and also some cards for spirit messages to see what your spirit guides have to tell you. So let's get into the reading. Remember, all readings are general in nature, so you may or may not resonate. So let's see the hopes for the 15th to the 21st of September for Leo. Obstacles. Yeah. See, before I even put that card down, I felt like that you're putting the past behind you. You're moving forward away from the past, and this card resonates with that fully. Or time for moving forward with this for Leo. Let's see. Wow, gorgeous cards. I'll get the spirit messages, and these two cards that I'm going to pull out, we won't look at them until later because it's a bit of a nice surprise to see what messages come. I think it's kind of fun doing it that way rather than knowing exactly what's coming through. We can look at it and see. I've done it for the others, and it's actually spot on. So let's see. Just want to do this here. Okay. Hope you can see that card. You can't see that, but I'll show you anyway. So for the tarot card, we give it a good shuffle. Let's do this. Leo. Okay. Yeah, you're definitely moving forward in this time frame. Definitely looking to the future rather than the past with these cards. Yep, definitely moving forward. Wow, speaks truth completely. Wow. Just, I love how the cards just blend in together and just give you the whole story. It's beautiful. I feel like there was some inner healing for you guys. I mean, it's for your hopes area, you're looking at there's a time for healing. So perhaps when I first connected with this, it felt like you're leaving the past behind. You're putting something away from the past. In other words, it's run its course and now you're moving on to the future, and the cards beautifully blend in and saying there's a movement, a time for movement. So here's a time for healing. So perhaps you're healing from the past, things that happened in the past that didn't go to plan or didn't go the way that you hoped, or maybe there was just people in the past that weren't good for you or weren't right for you and no longer are in your future, or you no longer want them to be in your future or in your now, because I feel like you've just had a time where you're healing. So I feel like with the hopes, you're hoping that this time frame here that you can heal some more, and also that the past doesn't repeat, because I can see that the devil here is showing that perhaps you're hoping that nothing from the past repeats itself or comes forward, or you can do something a little bit more different or new, because it feels like you're just walking away. The week frame that I'm talking about, it just looks like you're completely, the cards just look like scream, I'm walking away from this, I'm going forward, and I'm making a new beginning with this, because you've got the Queen of Swords, and she's all about setting her sights onto the future here. She's no longer looking back. She's quite looking forward in the future, and she's no longer looking at the past. So this is why you've got that time for healing. So perhaps there's some times where something was a bit rough in your past and you needed that healing stage. So this is why you're healing from the past, or you're healing from something that no longer serves you, because you do have the Eight of Cups here in the row of the obstacles, and perhaps you're hoping that the negative I guess things that happened in the past, or you don't want it to repeat in what you're doing now with your life, and in terms of repeating the past, in terms of repeating meeting people from the past, or meeting people that resonate with the past, influences, and I feel like you're walking away from that because I just feel like you've had enough. You've closed that door, you've closed that era, I want to say. You've closed that story, and you're now setting your sights higher, and you now want to just, it just feels like you're quite adamant. I've closed the door, I'm walking forward, I've got a new chapter in my life. And that's what I feel like, Leo. You have a new chapter in your life, and you're no longer going to settle for mediocre. You're no longer going to settle for things that just don't serve you. That doesn't have to always be people. It could be a project, a work, maybe a work situation where you no longer want to work there or surround yourself with other people. It could be a project you're doing, a business, something that you decided, it's not for me. I don't want to do it anymore. It doesn't feel right for me. So that's why you're moving forward. So you're hoping that the past doesn't repeat itself and the healing can start going forward, so you can get out of that stage where you're thinking of the past, or you're thinking of what has or shouldn't have happened, but you're now settling down, and you're being the Queen of Swords. I feel with this, you're being the Queen of Swords. You're looking to the future, and you're not going to reminisce in the past because you know that's not serving you. You know it's never going to serve you if you do. And even if you do think of things that are fond memories of the past, it is just the past. It's the past, and that's it. And you're just straight up, the future is where it's at for you guys. And you've got the time. You got the 10 of Wands, which is say there's a lot of burdens. So this is why it's a time of healing. There is maybe some negative thinking or things that don't feel right. I don't really feel it's too much negative thinking. I feel like it's just something that doesn't sit right with you guys. So you're hoping that the time can speed up the healing process, and perhaps even if you're not going through a healing stage, it might be just a time with having peace and calm in your life, and you're hoping that your plans that you'll make for the future can bring in that peace and serenity, because and relieve some stress. So if you're not walking away from people, you may be walking away from things that are too much, just too much. It's run its course. It's enough, because the 10 of Wands is saying things that there's a hard load. You're carrying too much. It's a heavy burden, and it's stressing you out. It's like you constantly have to do everything yourself, and perhaps you're walking away from people who constantly take from you, and you give, and or it could be work situation where you're constantly doing all the work, and other people that surround you, that work with you, may be slacking off, and you're quite done with that. And I feel like it's a time for releasing the heavy burdens and not doing everything always what I want to say, doing too much. So I feel also with the time of healing that it's time to have a little bit of rest, relaxation, or a time out for yourself, because that's probably why I started to say time instead of 10. I feel like there's a time out for yourselves, and I feel like you're hoping that things slow down a little bit so you can breathe, is what I'm getting with that. So with the obstacles, you've got the moving forward card here. So I feel like you need to move forward. You need to make some changes here. It's saying the first step is I need to wear my glasses. I can't read this. I'm sorry. Okay. Small writing. The first step is taken within our stillness. So that means that when you quieten yourself, or when you have a time out, it just beautifully melts in. When you have that time out, you can decide on what next steps are going forward on your path. So moving forward, the first step is taken within our stillness. That means that you end up getting to know what you want to do in your life, and when we're in that stillness, or when we've got a quietness, we find out what we really want to do. We're able to make better decisions and get a clearer mind and clearer thinking on what steps to take, what's the next step. Because that's what I feel with you. The obstacles are saying you need to have a time out, because that's what I'm feeling with this, having a time out so you can go forward and making new, better steps, I guess, because you've got the 8 of Cups. So you're definitely walking away from something, and perhaps the obstacle is you need to walk away from what no longer serves you. And it may be walking away from that negative thinking even if it's not from something or someone. It may be that forgiving yourself and being proud of how far you've come, I guess I want to say. But there is a need to move away from what no longer serves you and moving forward to what does, because the wheel is at your feet. You got to understand the wheel's at your feet, and that means that there's time ticking. It's time ticking, but it also means that there's success when you take that step. So every step you take, I got something on my fucking thing. Yeah, every step you take is going to lead you to that success. I feel that, yeah, there's obstacles here so you maybe need to do something that you love, because the Ace of Cups is saying, okay, I'm now focusing on something I love. I'm focusing this. It melts beautifully in it, because it's like perhaps you're hoping that what you do is, when you leave the situation or whatever situation it is, that you can do something that you actually enjoy, you actually love. Because I feel like with the Ace of Cups is saying, do something that you love. Yeah, so it's like you have to, the obstacles are pretty much saying you need to have time out so you can decide on your next steps. There is something you're walking away from, and the wheel is at your feet. Or I know it's not the world, but the world card is here. It's saying success is going to come once you walk away from what no longer serves you, the wheel with the wheel. But you understand that it requires change. It requires you to do something that you actually love. So I do feel that you're walking away from the past, even though this is a hope. You're hoping that the healing you do and then removing the negativity and focusing on the future lessens that burden. That's what I feel with this. It's like you're hoping if you take time out, you remove what no longer serves you with the Devil card, you look to the future, you make plans for the future. I know that it's to do with something you love, because you're not feeling it from whatever you've been doing in the past or now even. It's too much work. It's like, it doesn't serve me. I want something more for my life. It's causing me stress with the Devil. It's causing a lot of hard work that's burden, and it's making me quite stressful. So perhaps I need to time out, moving forward, so I can make the next steps. And once I do, I know I'm going to walk away what no longer serves me, because I know I can bring success in, because it's something I am going to enjoy. I'm going to find something that I love. And you might have an idea or something that you want to do anyway. You might have that in plan already, because sometimes we have an inkling of what we really want to do anyway. We just don't take the risk. And with the focus, you've got 9 of emotions, which is basically 9 of cups. It's saying, this is a magical time in your life when wishes are granted and dreams come true. It may seem that good luck is following you, but actually these happy times are just reward for being a loving and wonderful person. Your angels are asking you to enjoy your life and have more fun. So I do feel you need to have that time out so you can have that healing, so you can get back on track. That's what I feel, and you're going to make that decision. So the obstacles are you have to make a decision on choosing something that you love and going after that new beginning that you're looking forward to. And that's a 9 of emotions, which resonates with the 9 of cups. It's like wishes come true, but you might be focusing on what you think. You might be focused, because you got the 4 of cups here. It's saying you might not see the perfect opportunity. Perhaps you're not seeing why you have to move away from something. Maybe you'll think because it's next to it. So we're looking at the 4 of cups. So the 4 of cups will say, okay, I'm not seeing the joy in it. It's just no longer serving me. I don't see the perfect opportunity, what is being presented. So perhaps what you're focusing on what things that you may think that doesn't serve you, or doesn't not serve you. I guess there might be a perfect opportunity that you're not seeing, or perhaps you're looking at things that no longer serve you, and you're making a decision on there because you want more for yourself, but there is a need to walk away from something, whatever it is. But you're going to make that decision, because now when you're focusing on what you do love, and maybe perhaps when you do, because sometimes with the 4 of cups we can't see the perfect opportunity that's already been presented. Or perhaps it's causing us a boredom. Perhaps you need to look at things from a different perspective and see what can you take from this. Is there something that you can do that you're going to enjoy? But it's like you're sitting there waiting and waiting, You know what you want, really. But you're making sure that you're sure before you take that chance, because you've got the owl here, which shows that you've got a lot of wisdom, you've got a lot of experience, you know what you want. But you're not just going to jump in, even though the King of Swords, like he goes after what he wants. You're sitting there at first. It's like a bit of time out before you take the next steps, and you want to make sure that you do it right. And that's why I feel that your Four of Cups is being presented something, and you maybe be at a standstill before you take that decision or make that decision, because you want to get it right. You want to make sure. But you've got the World at your feet, which means that anything that you do, there's a completion. It means you've completed a cycle. You've walked away from something. It's ended. It's run its course, and it's now time for a new beginning. And this is a new beginning of many opportunities, a new beginning of success. And I do feel that you're reflecting on the past with the focus. You're reflecting on the past, what no longer served you, but you're making a stance and moving forward. You're still analyzing it, but you will step up, because the world, you're going to step up anyway, regardless of whether you're contemplating it. So I do feel there's a little bit of contemplating what's your next move, and that's why you got the Four of Cups there. So even though that represents about being bored or something being presented to you and you're not really seeing it as good, it also can be about sitting there thinking about life and what you actually want to do and making choices. Like I do feel with the King of Swords, and that you want to make sure that you make the right decision and you go forward and you focus on what you actually want in life. But I do feel that it's going to be a success with that, because you've got the World card and the Nine of Cups here. So let's get some clarity. With the Devil card we have, let's see. Yeah, we've got the Five of Pentacles here, so there might be some negative thinking, because maybe you're doing a work that doesn't really pay well. So the Five of Pentacles is that poverty card, where it's saying you may be looking at things, lack or loss, or what you don't have. With the Five of Pentacles, there might be some money not coming in as much, and perhaps that's giving you some of those negative thoughts, and that's probably why you might be walking away, because it's just not giving you enough income. You might be trying to find other ways of getting in the income, but I just feel you're not satisfied with something. It could be just the income, but it could be just overall the whole situation. I do feel you want more for yourself. But with the Queen of Swords we have, yeah, the Page of Pentacles. You want more for yourself, and I do feel it's also finances. You want stability. You want to make sure that what you're doing is going to be successful for the long run, but also make you happy, and you feel that happiness when you either go to work or do a business or project, whatever you're focusing on. You want to create that opportunity. So there's an opportunity being presented, and you're pretty much planning for the future with the Queen of Swords. If you can look, you've got the Queen of Swords here, you've got the Wheel here, and you've got the King of Swords. And the King of Swords and the Queen of Swords are both together. So they're both thinking exactly what they want, and they're quite structured in making that choice, but they're making it wisely. They're not just going to rush. And even though the Swords is a bit of a rush, I just feel you're making sure that you make the right decisions before you jump in. With the 10, because I feel like you don't want to make the same mistakes twice for anything that's come up in the past. With the 10 of Wands we have, yeah, the Emperor. It's time to make some changes in your life. So if you're hoping, I do feel that you're hoping that if the changes that you do make with the Page of Pentacles and the Emperor, that you take up that leadership, you take up, you know, you're quite powerful, and that with the Emperor, he's powerful, he knows what he wants, and he takes the lead. So I do feel that you're going to shake things up in your life, because there are heavy burdens and there's things that are not feeling right, and that's why there might be that devil hanging around, because it's just not sitting well with you, and you want more for yourself. And that's why you're going to be the leader, and that means you're going to make some changes here. You're not just going to sit around. Obviously you have that stillness to make a decision, but once you get going, it's a go. With the Eight of Cups we have, yeah, Ace of Swords. You definitely see once you make the decision to walk away from whatever it is no longer serves you, the Ace of Swords, you're definitely going to go. Just once you make the decision, once you make sure, the Ace of Swords comes in and you're gone. You're going to go and make that decision, because the Ace of Swords is saying, I've got an idea, I know what I want to do, and I'm headstrong about it, and I'm going forward, and I know it's going to be the best for me. So I do feel with the obstacles, you're going to make sure that you got to understand that any changes you do make, it's going to be in your best interest, I feel, with this, because it's going to lighten the load, I feel, with that. So with the Wheel, we have the Knight of Swords. You're definitely making that decision, but it's time to act. So I feel like you may be, like I said, at the standstill at the moment, but you are going to swiftly make a decision, because you know that that it's best to move forward from what no longer serves you, because this is what's going to make you happy and passionate and do something you love in the long run. So let's see, with the Ace of Cups, we have that you have to do something you love. You're sick and tired of doing the old. Look, guys, you've got Ace of Cups. It's all about you. That is why the Four of Cups is here, guys. You're sick and tired of doing whatever you're doing, because you want to do something you love, and you got to understand, for that to happen, you got to make some changes. You got to walk away from what no longer serves you. Because look, you've got the Ace of Cups again on the Ace of Cups. So this is saying new beginnings of something you're passionate about and that you actually love, that you want to do, and it's thrilling for you. When I say thrilling, you're excited to do it, because at the moment you're focusing on something that's not in your heart's content. It's not doing it for you. So let's see. So that's why the obstacles are, you got to make a decision and make changes. Walk away from what no longer serves you, what's not making you happy. It's pretty much simple. You got to walk away what's not making you happy and go on to what will make you happy. So with the Four of Cups, we have the Sun. Once you make a decision and once you decide what you actually want, the Sun card comes, and that means that what you focus on, it's time to focus on the happiness, exactly what I just said. Focus on what brings happiness, and that may require you to make some changes. It's big changes in your life, and sometimes we have to make changes if we're going to heal that sadness, or heal that might not mean sadness, but frustration energy there, where you're sick and tired of the heavy burdens, you're sick and tired of the negative coming in, and you're making some changes because it's time for a change. With the King of Swords, we have the Hierophant. You've learned, there might be like rules and regulations to think how things are. That's why I feel that you're taking that little bit of stillness here, where you're sitting and thinking about things, because you want it to be a certain way, and there might be like things that have to go through. But this is also about wisdom, knowing you already know what to do. You just might be thinking it through first. With the World Cup, why do I always say the World Cup? Every time I look at this, it's always the World Cup card, not cup. I always do it with it. I don't know why. World card, we have, the Three of Swords. So there's a completion. Something's ended with the world, but this is a new happy beginning with the world. But there might be something causing you still to be sad or feel like a broken heart. It just might be something that's just still. That's why you're not making a move too quickly, even though the King of Swords is quick. But the King, he's just sitting there waiting until he makes his next move, and something's just you're focusing on what doesn't with the Four of Cups, you're focusing on things that don't bring in happiness. But that's probably why things are feeling a little bit glum here with the three. We're going to get another card for that, but I do feel that you got to make big changes, and it might be a little bit uncomfortable at first, and that's pretty much what I'm getting with this. It's like time for healing. You're hoping that once you do the healing, once you actually change your life, I want to say with this, if you're not in the healing stage where you don't need to heal, I mean, everyone can do some healing, but it might be just like being comfortable with the changes that you make. You need to make those changes, and then once you do, start focusing on and making plans for the future. But you might be reminiscing in the past, because if we look, we've got the heavy burdens here. But there's something you have to do that you love, and perhaps the grief of making a change might be causing a little bit of what do I say, uncomfortable. It just feels uncomfortable, like it might be too uncomfortable. Like Two of Cups, perhaps you even are focusing on what no longer serves. Perhaps some of you have broken up with someone, in a relationship, or it could be just, if you're not in a relationship, it could be because you're broken up from a project, a business. I mean, this is a commitment card, but it might feel like it's just not working out, and perhaps you're focusing on what's not working out when you should be focusing on what is working. But I'm going to do one more card for that, because I just feel like there's a commitment here, but there's a sense of sadness, and I feel it's because there's something's completed and you're not quite sure. So if it's not about a relationship, it could be about something that you were committed to, and you're focusing on what was, and now it's time to focus on being that King of Swords and focusing on what your next steps are. Yeah, because it's time for, oh wow, look guys, something's ended. Ten of Swords, they flipped out, something's ended, it's finished, done. Eight of Pentacles, it was hard work. You're putting a lot of work. So you're focusing on putting a lot of work in something. Something's ended and it's time for rest. So there's a lot of healing here. This is why you got the healing here, because there's a time out for you guys. And something has definitely ended, because you got the Eight of Cups, you got the Ten of Swords, which is ended, completed, finished. And it might, that's what's probably uncomfortable, is because you committed yourself to that road, that journey, and now you have to make a decision to do something that you actually love, or do something that's going to be right on your path. Because as uncomfortable as it is, you know that that's the right decision. Because sometimes when we do make, even though sometimes when we do want to make a change, we're so comfortable in the area that we were in that it is a little bit sad, because we've put so much effort in, and for what? So I do feel that but I do feel that once you do, make that change, you're going to be much more happier, because you got the Sun card and you got the Nine of Cups. Yeah, Seven of Swords, you're taking what's yours. It's flipped out. You're taking what's yours with the Seven of Swords. But I'm just going to do extra cards for you guys, because I just feel like it needs to have that clear message here. Yeah, the High Priestess, listen to your intuition. If you're stuck or you're just still not sure what you want to do, listen to your intuition with this. I do feel that you've listened to your intuition. I feel like you've made a decision. It's not comfortable. It doesn't sit right with you. It sits right with you in a way, but it's uncomfortable because you have to make that change. And sometimes when we make changes, it's uncomfortable. I know I keep saying the same word, but it can be messy. It can be stressful, because sometimes when we have to make changes, and we know once we make a change it'll be much more better, it's in between of making that change that's uncomfortable. But I feel like you had to take what's yours, because it's like you had to protect something, and you know it's right, because the High Priestess is saying, you listen to your intuition, you know it's right. I just feel like this is saying something's ended. It caused you a bit of grief. You were committed to it. It was hard work. And now you're listening to your intuition. But I do feel this is what you're focusing on. You're focusing on, now you're making things change. Now you're making a change, because you know you have to look to the future and make something that's beautiful and much more you, and much more calm, I want to say, and serenity. Because I feel like before things were a little bit more rough or tiring, or too much hard work, and you're not enjoying it. So that's what I feel for you guys. So let's see what the spirit messages have. Yeah, look, you've got choices here. This card is choices. When you accept responsibility for your life and the choices you make, here you have to make a choice. You begin to tap into the power of your own spirit. You'll be able to listen to and appreciate the intuitive wisdom, guys, just like I said, that's inside you, and apply it positively and constructively to the outside world. So this is all beautifully, melts deliciously, saying that once you make the decision, you listen to your intuition, you know that your outside world is going to be so much more better, and inner world as well, because you're going to trust the choices you make. It's just, if we had to keep it simple from my long-winded message, it's pretty much saying there's a time for healing, because you have to make a choice, and you know it's a decision, because things are a bit heavy burden, and you're hoping that things change. You know you need, on the obstacles, you know you need to make a movement, a walk away from something, and decide in your... This is my camera stopped. So yeah, so you know that you have to... I'll do this again. You know that you have to make a choice. You're hoping that once you make the decision to move away what no longer serves you, and a time for healing, to get used to that idea, I feel, you know you've got to make a decision to walk away what no longer serves you, and go on to something that's going to really bring that passion in, and the excitement and the happiness, and something that you absolutely love. You know, you've got to make that decision, but sometimes it's going to be hard to make it, because you know you just have to go from what you already know. But it's going to be a happy ending. It's time to focus on what is good, not what isn't, with the Four of Cups, and move on to something that you love. Know that things have to be a certain way. The world is at your feet. You can do whatever you want. So focus on what you can do. Focus on what you can achieve in the future. And now, yeah, there might be a little bit of grief, and maybe you were committed to something and it's ended. So you may be focusing on what ended, but it's time to get back into hard work, because hard work pays off. And maybe perhaps you need a little bit of time out to get your footing again. And you're taking what's yours, you're protecting what's yours, because you're listening to your intuition now, and you don't want to make the same mistakes. So I do feel the choices you make positively affect you beautifully. In other words, it's going to be the right choice. And here it says study. Spirit has its own special way of letting you know that it's time to study again. So perhaps you're either going in, it's just new knowledge, learning something new. It doesn't have to be a course. It could be study for your work, maybe a business, a topic that you're learning. But it's saying from time to time, it's important to go back and learn, whether that's learning old things in a new way or learning something totally new. This is an opportunity to expand your mind. See, learning from the past, not taking the past into the future. You've learned from the past, you're now going forward. But if it's not that, then it's something that you need to focus on and change things up, because you know that's going to help you out in the future. And that's a study card there. So I do feel that the choices you make is going to give you much more knowledge, much more understanding of who you are. And it's going to be the right decision, because your intuition is going to be on point. You want that happy son, that happy life, and that dreams coming true. But there is a time for getting used to the idea, moving forward, making change, walking away what no longer serves you, and focusing on what does serve you, what is beautiful for you, and what's going to make you happy in the long run. So I hope, Leo, this reading has given you some insight. I'd love to see you again. Like, subscribe, and all that, and comment if you like, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.